Here we are, another edition of our Rotary Unplugged, where you get to meet, well, fellow Rotarians, or if you're looking to join our Rotary, those that you will bond with soon. And this gentleman, you will. Let's put a doctor in front of his name. He's a great addition to this Unplugged obviously series. Asgi Fazleabas with us. Dr. Fazleabas, glad that you are here. So much on your resume that in our land we can't list it all, but thank you for what you do when it comes to a professor, a chair for research, a director of a center for women's health, a co-director for reproductive and developmental sciences training. What do you do for fun?
Enjoy doing all of that. Science is fun. So I always tell everybody I get paid to go fishing every day.
Oh, wonderful attitude. Asgi, what a cool guy you are, and your bride. We'll bring her up throughout, but thank you for this edition of Rotary Unplugged. And I start with, when did you hear the word Rotary? Did that pique your interest?
Well, actually, I've heard the word Rotary pretty much all my life, really, because I grew up in Sri Lanka just as my wife did. And the two main clubs always were Rotary and the Lions. And so many of my colleagues and friends were Rotarians. My parents and many of their friends were Lions. And so the idea of being involved in service and giving back has always been part of my life, because I think my dad was a Lion for almost 60 years. So,
Hmm.
and he stayed in the club right from the onset till he passed away. So
Nice. So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And when were you blessed with the Rotary Club of Grand Rapids?
So actually, when I came here, my wife Sharabanu has been a Rotarian for a long, long time. She was a Rotarian in Sri Lanka, and then when she moved to the U.S. and we moved here to Grand Rapids, it was actually Jerry Coyman who works, with us, who's been such a leader in getting the Grand Rapids campus up and running. And, at various events, we started meeting, MSU events. And then he's the one who told Sherman, he says, you should join because you've been a Rotarian for so long. So she joined the Rotary Club. He sponsored her. And, I just kept coming when I saw interesting topics, lunch topics, I would come along with her. And I got more and more interested in listening, coming to our luncheons, meeting the different people. And then I decided, well, I might as well join and be part of this wonderful group of people that do so much for our community. And so in 2018, I ended up joining the Rotary.
Nice. And look how you have served. Has there been a growth in the few years you've been involved from 2018 to 2025? Obviously, there was a COVID intervention there.
Oh my God, what I've seen, now I'm with the board of directors, and what I see is just amazing. The commitment, the camaraderie, all of our service projects. Only yesterday, I think we've got, Catherine was saying we must have 26 service projects going right now. And I think that's been a real eye opener for me, just to see how much us Rotarians do for the community and being part of that. And for me, Strive has been a really, really big part of my Rotary journey. I'm an educator, so that to me is really wonderful. And I've had, 3 really good Strive students, and my first one was just amazing. He's now a sophomore at the university, and he came here in 9th grade from Rwanda as a refugee, didn't speak a word of English, and graduated as valedictorian.
Wow. Just be all because of you. Could you?
Not because of me, not because of me at all. But it's
yeah, and put. I mean, for someone who's listening, this could attract me to get involved. A new Rotarian. What is Strive?
Strive is a program that we have, and I'm forgetting what the acronym actually stands for, but it basically is part of our Rotary Club and the Rotary commitment. So basically what Strive does is match a mentor with a mentee. and they try to match their common interests. So most of the trainees, most of my mentees have been interested in either science or medicine or as a career. So generally you match them at junior and senior year, and you help them, you guide them, give them advice, talk to them. Some of them just want to talk about future plans. Some of them just want to talk about issues that they might be having with their studies, and point them in directions where they can get more information, get more help, link them up with people. So, for example, I was telling you about Stephen from Rwanda. He originally wanted to be a PA. And then as he went through college, he decided that he wants to actually get a medical degree. So it was interesting, even though he was no longer my mentee, I was able to link him up with my former trainees who took that path, so he could get some ideas about what's involved and what it takes. And so it's really more of a mentor-mentee interaction. You meet once a week. It's a small commitment, 7:30 in the morning when we do the ones at Union, and at different times. It depends on what's convenient for the student and the students in that school. And you spend an hour just talking about stuff. They get involved in our projects because they have to do two of the service projects to be part of Strive, and just give them advice, guidance, and just get to know them really.
Yes. Thank you for your service. Let me put you on the spot. Do you have any memorable, let's say, meetings, programs, fun times as Rotarians meet, or maybe a Club 77 that has stuck in your mind for our social hours?
Oh, the Club 77s are wonderful, and my wife and I love to host them, and we enjoy hosting them at our home. I think for me, I wouldn't say there's one thing, but I think for me, it's really listening to the diversity of our speakers and learning about different things that they do in our community, how they sort of help us learn more about what we can do as Rotarians and get involved. Trying to think recently what probably really stood out in my mind was really probably learning about some of the emphasis on youth activities, helping kids that are in need of help, and hoping that they will find a home, a safe home to really grow up. And those are the things that really, for me, are really important because, they're our future. And for me, any child is worth really giving them a chance to help them grow up and live a very productive life.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite Club 77s was hosting with you and your bride, attending your hosting of what called you to do that as far as that's a big deal. You have to plan. There's a whole, you shared a unique food setting with us. How did that work for you?
So I guess we are Sri Lankans, Sharabanu and I. And one of the unique traits of Sri Lankans is we just love to entertain. Any Sri Lankan you run into is always entertaining. You're always in and out of each other's homes. I always laughingly say when I was growing up, my parents didn't know on holidays where the dickens I was, and they just said, "Oh well, somebody's going to feed him, somebody's going to send him home." And you just walk into people's houses. You don't call ahead and say, "Hey, can I come?" So as kids, we grew up, and I grew up in that sort of my Bocherabanu loves to entertain, and my mom was the same way too. She really enjoyed entertaining, and so we sort of grew up in that culture. And so when Club 77 came around, we thought, this would be a nice way to host our friends and our colleagues in Rotary and share, our love for our food and spices and things like that. But I think that's just part of our upbringing and part of our nature.
Yes. Well, thank you. I'm sure there wasn't a piece of food left. Let's get into more fun facts about you. Not only, obviously, do you enjoy entertaining, but do you enjoy trying other cuisines and cooking at home?
Absolutely. That's one thing we love to do. since both Shirobano and I like to cook, and we love to experiment, we like to try different things, and we always cook together. We always joke that it's a good thing we don't argue about stuff when it comes, oh, don't put this in there, don't put that in there, why are you doing this, why are you doing that? We tend to have a really good working relationship in the kitchen, and we plan for dinner parties or anything like that. We'll just take each of the things and do it to make it unique.
Nice.
But we both really enjoy cooking and enjoying being in our home, and so a lot of our weekends are spent really on a Sunday. We might just decide if we're home, especially in the winter, just trying different foods and trying different recipes and things like that.
That's nice. I'll take your leftovers. There we are. Why is traveling so important to you guys?
So, two things. I mean, Sherbanu has been in the travel business ever since she graduated high school, and she's built third company, um, which is A&S Signature Journeys that she has. For me, it goes back to I was I think my sophomore year in college in Sri Lanka, and I got selected to represent Sri Lanka, the Lions Club. So again, going back, I got selected to be a youth exchange scholar and come to the Lions International Convention in Atlantic City and spend a whole summer with the host family in New Jersey. And they gave me at that time, a ticket was a ticket. So I had essentially around the world ticket from Sri Lanka to Atlantic City, actually New York City and back. So I figured, what the heck? I'm going to put a backpack on my back, $250 in my pocket, and I'm just going to work it around because I could stop anywhere I wanted. And with the help of an uncle of mine that was really fascinated by putting trips together, I just put a backpack on my back and started off in Hong Kong, went all the way around across the United States, all through Europe, all through the Middle East. Interesting adventures. I was 18 and basically, finding these youth hostels, paying $6 or $8 a night to stay in, and having people that were like you. They were traveling on a budget and wanted to see things. And so for me, that really that fascinated me about being able to travel and see the world and see the different cultures. I mean, I think the most memorable thing for me on one of my travels was being at the Berlin Wall when it was still in existence. And I was staying at a youth hostel and ran into a German guy whose roommate happened to be Sri Lankan. So we sort of hit it off.
Mhm.
And we went out and we were in what was then West Berlin, going out to nightclubs and having a good time. And about midnight or 1 o'clock, he said, "Here, I want to show you guys something." So we got in his little Volkswagen Bug and went across, went to the Berlin Wall. And he said, "I want you guys to just climb up. You have those Checkpoint Charlie things that you could climb up and look straight ahead and don't look behind you." So we climbed up, and all you saw was these huge walls with barbed wire, these military guys walking up and down, huge bright lights, and everything beyond that was pitch black. And they said, "Turn around." And you turned around and you saw this glorious city with lights and music and cars and people. And I still remember his words. He says, "That's the difference between freedom and not having freedom."
Thank you for sharing that story. Wow. Write a book. How's that? A couple more. I know you're passionate about science and reading and the theater.
Yes, I love the theater. So I did all kinds of things. So growing up in Sri Lanka, that was one of my hobbies. So two other kids in high school and we formed a little company where we would then help productions to basically, at that time, use ropes and stuff to fly in and out, fly the props in, set the props up. And so I really got interested in seeing what was behind the scenes and learning about theater and what it took, since you were you just come and you see a performance and you don't really realize how much effort and time and trouble goes behind putting that production together. And so from high school, I always get told off by my dad. He says, "You're supposed to be studying, not going. What are you going to do? Go to the theater and fly these props all night, you know?" But that gave me the fascination for theater, just seeing different types of plays, the comedies, and all of the different productions, and so that really got me involved in theater. And then after that, ever since then, I've always been interested in seeing different shows, seeing different theater productions, and unfortunately, Cherubano and I have the same love for the same things, so it's kind of easy to do things like that together.
Easy to get a date to a
Yes,
theater.
it's easy, absolutely.
Well, yeah, I'm sure your father knew that you turned out okay with, again, your extensive resume. My final question to you is, if someone's interested in joining Rotary, what's the action item?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the action item is you will never find another group of people that are like-minded, that want to serve their community and want to interact with each other, get to know each other, and really, what we say, service above self. I mean, it's just, using the for fortunate type, the fortunate components that you've had in your life to be able to then give back and help those that really need the help.
Wonderful. I want to make sure I sit next to you and learn more about your ventures. Thank you, Asgi, for this communication, this conversation with you.
Thanks, Shelley. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for taking the time to.
Yes. We now bring in our executive producer, J.R. Muller, who's been listening to us intently. Hello to you.
Hi, how are you? Broadcasting from the cave here. So appreciate both your time today. Of course, you can find this podcast and every podcast at grrotary.org. Just click the Unplugged tab at the top of the site, or you can find it in the Apple Podcast Store. If you have the Apple Podcast application on your phone, just type in Grand Rapids Rotary Unplugged, and we'll see you again next time. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Enjoy the sunshine.